Hey everybody, it's Scott Shetler here at Extreme Performance Training Systems in Atlanta, Georgia. And I wanted to put this video together to look at some different types of squatting that you can do if you're stuck training at home right now or stuck on a home-based fitness program, kind of because of what's going on with the world. But I know a lot of people are sticking to their fitness training programs. They're just trying to find creative ways to get stuff done at home. And probably one of the best things to do is just kind of go back to the basics and focus on basic movement patterns, one of which is the squat. So what I want to do is look at some different squatting options that you may have depending on what equipment you have access to. Now it's great if you got a basement gym or a garage gym where you got a power rack or something where you got a barbell and you can do the traditional barbell squats. That's probably going to allow you to keep on to a regular power training program. But a lot of people don't have options like that, but they may have some equipment like a kettlebell, some bands or some dumbbells or something like that. And if not, you can even get a lot of mileage out of a bodyweight squat. So I want to go over a couple different squatting options or a few different squatting options that you can do if you're stuck training at home right now like a lot of people are. So first of all would be the basic bodyweight squat. Now the bodyweight squat is really good for hip, knee, and ankle joint mobility. And just having the ability to do a full squat all the way down with body weight is not just a good exercise for strength, but it's also a great exercise for strength through mobility. And this is something that a lot of people, this is a skill that a lot of people lose as we get older because of different types of muscle tightnesses and things like that. So just a good basic body weight full squat is something that a lot of you can work on, particularly if you don't have access to any equipment. So the big things with the squat are that we want to make sure that we're squatting with the hips first. A lot of people tend to squat with their knees, and in doing so, drive the knees out over the toes in an effort to keep the back what they call straight, which really they mean perpendicular to the ground, and that's not correct. What we want to do is we want to throw back the hips and engage this sort of hip hinge type motion as we drop into the squat. So the squat is sitting back while also squatting down and bringing the torso down between the knees. So a good full body weight squat, we're going to sit back into the heels, push out on the knees, and drop the torso down between the thighs. All right? So again, that's the basic body weight squatting pattern. Sitting back, sliding down between the knees with the torso, keeping the chest, keeping the head up, but we're sitting back into the heels and down before we drive up out of the hole. So again, one more time from the side. We start by sitting back on the hips, pushing out on the knees, and then sliding the torso down between the thighs, keeping the chest up, the back arched, and then driving back up to the starting position. So that's a great example of a bodyweight squat. And again, excellent exercise for hip, knee, and ankle mobility. If you've got access to some resistance training equipment, like a kettlebell, there's a lot of variations of the squat that you can implement with it. Basic exercise would be the goblet squat. The goblet squat, you're going to hold your kettlebell upside down at the chest, kind of cut between your hands like this, and then the technique is going to be the same that I just described for the bodyweight squat. This is just a way to get a little bit more load into the exercise. Okay, so that's one example of a loaded squat that you could do with the kettlebell, which is the goblet squat. Another one that I like is the single arm front squat. With the single arm front squat, you're going to hold the kettlebell at one side of the body in a rack, what we call a rack position. And when you do that, it's going to create an offset load on the body. So you're really going to have to work the oblique, the torso on the other side to keep your body aligned properly as you do it. So to do the single arm front squat, all you're going to do is clean the kettlebell up to your chest, like so. Holding the kettlebell at the chest, same technique, you're going to sit back on the hips, pushing out on the knees, sliding the torso between the thighs as you go down. Okay, so with that single arm front squat, you're going to want to make sure, obviously, you do the same number of reps on each side of the body. So if you're going to do a set of 5 with the right arm, make sure you do a set of 5 holding it on the left arm. If you don't have access to a kettlebell or even a dumbbell is a good option for the goblet squat, bands make another really good option. Now, unless you have some really strong bands, you're not going to be able to get the same load that you would with some dumbbells or kettlebells. But bands do make a great option as far as resistance training goes. And usually there's 2 different types of bands that you're going to have. One is the type of band that has a set of handles. It's just one length of band, And there's usually some handles like these I got from Lifeline USA, which is a great company for home-based fitness equipment. It's got multiple slots in here where you can attach different bands of different strengths to increase the resistance or decrease the resistance depending on your strength level. Another type of band is this light band that I have here. This is made by Westside Barbell, but there's many manufacturers of bands out there. But this one is kind of a continuous loop, all right? And oftentimes here in the gym, we're choking these around a monolift or a squat rack, and we're attaching it to the barbell. But these can be really good for some exercises, basic exercises as well. So if you have this type of band, what you could do is take the band and loop it over your neck, and then stand on the bottom of the band. So here, get in your squat stance. Now we're using the body and the feet to stretch the band and create some resistance. And then it's performing the squat, the same technique, sitting back on the hips, out on the knees, and down, driving up into the band. So this is actually going to create kind of an accommodating resistance or a variable resistance form with the band, because as we squat down, the tension is going to dissipate, and as we drive up, the tension is going to get greater and greater and greater, which is going to force us to accelerate into the top of the squat. So that's how you would do it if you had this type of continuous band. If you've just got a band that's got the handles on it, you simply hold the handles up at your shoulders, step on the band to create the desired level of tension. Then you can bring the handles up over the shoulders, and again, dropping down into the squat by sitting back with the hips, pushing out on the knees, opening up that area in the groin to allow the torso to slide down between the thighs. So those are just a couple types of squats that you can implement in your training program at home. Again, the body weight squat, which is not only a good exercise for strengthening the legs, strength and endurance of the legs, but also it's a great exercise just to work mobility of the hips, the knees, and the ankles. You can squat down nice and deep and hold it. And if you have tight hips, one of the things that I like to do is kind of pry the hips side to side. And this is great to help open up the hips and gain some mobility in the hips. Another thing that you could do, don't overlook the value of static exercises. If you've got a martial art background, if you've ever done any more traditional martial arts, one of the favorite stances that's worked in different forms of martial arts is the horse stance. So if you just drop down into kind of, horse stance position, which is about a half squat position, down here with the thighs parallel to the ground, and hold, try holding this for 30 seconds or 60 seconds or more. Static exercises like that are great to do. You could also work with super slow reps. You could change the rep speed. You could try squatting really slow, taking like maybe a minute to go all the way down. And then maybe holding a pause. And then taking another minute to come all the way up. Now, obviously, that's a little bit faster for the video purposes, but think about varying rep speed. There's some things that you could do to really create a lot of variety with this one simple movement pattern, which is the squat movement pattern. So you've got body weight resistance, you've got various types of bands that you could use if you have access to, and you got various types of loading with either kettlebells or dumbbells. I've always said if you got one or two kettlebells around the house, maybe a band or two, you could really get a lot of good full body training exercises done. And I hope over the coming days and coming weeks to help share some of those tips to help you with some creativity when building your home workouts. One other thing, if you're having a hard time sitting back into the squat, like I said, a lot of people tend to squat incorrectly. They tend to squat with their knees first, trying to keep that back perpendicular, yet they have no problem sitting on a chair. So one of the things that we do here in the gym quite a bit is called a box squat. All right, now with the box squat, what we do is we purposely stand in front of a box that's set to the desired height that we want. And what we're going to do is we're going to sit back so that we're actually sitting to the box, setting our weight back, letting our weight transition into the box. What you'll notice here is my shins are perpendicular to the ground. I had no issues sitting back into the squat. I'm going to let my weight transfer into the box, and I'm going to drive my hips forward off the box while pushing out on the feet. So again, with the box squat, we're going to sit back to a bench, a box, a chair. Anything that you have that's not going to collapse when you sit on it is a great tool to use, and this will teach you to sit back into the free squat even better. So again, you stand in front of your box, sit your hips back. Notice the first movement I make is my hips travel backwards, and then I push out on the feet, grip the ground with my toes, keeping the chest up. I'm gonna hit the box, let my weight transition into the box, and then drive forward. Now, some of the benefits to using the box squat as a training exercise by itself is it breaks up that downward and upward phase of the squatting. The downward phase is what we call the eccentric phase, or the lowering phase. The concentric phase, or the lift, is when we drive up out of the hole. So with the box squat, we can actually sit on the box and break that cycle. So what we're doing is we're taking away the stretch shortening cycle of the muscles, which is the elastic rebound that the muscles that create the squat provide. And in doing so, it forces us to explode off the box with a lot more effort, with a lot more force than using the elasticity of the muscles. So even the box squat by itself makes a great training exercise. And you could couple that with any forms of resistance. You could couple it with the kettlebell, holding the goblet squat. We could just sit back into the box, pause, and then drive up. You could do it with your front squat. Or you could do it with one of the bands. So if you've got a chair or a bench or anything at home, you can work the box squat in as a squatting variation. So those are just some of the ways that you can take a basic movement like the squat and really get a lot of variety and get a lot of mileage out of the exercise if you're stuck squatting at home. Now again, if you got a power rack and a barbell, garage gym, or a basement gym, that's awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. But if you're stuck at home like a lot of people are with just a few pieces of training tools or nothing at all, hopefully this video gave you some ideas on some things that you could do as far as starting out with a squatting movement. Now the squats are pretty much a cornerstone in most of the programs that I implement, whether it's my combative sports athletes, my Olympic sports athletes, even my general fitness clientele and my strength athletes. Everybody squats in some manner. Squats build strong, powerful legs. My Olympic sport athletes, like my volleyball players, strong legs are crucial for jumping and for the sport performance. For my grapplers and fighters, strong legs are crucial for being able to shoot in for a takedown, or for being able to throw kicks or punches. Having strong legs helps to transfer power into the striking techniques. And then just for general health, general fitness enthusiasts, having strong legs that can function through a full range of motion, like I said, being able to squat all the way down with a flat foot, heel on the ground, is a skill that a lot of adults lose as we get older and we don't maintain that flexibility and mobility. But if we need to get up off the ground, if we've fallen down, or we need to be able to get up as we get older, we got to be able to take care of ourselves. So don't overlook a simple pattern like a full squat. So there's a lot of benefits with just a body weight full squat as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If there's anything that you want to see me address in future videos, looks like I'm going to be having a little bit more time than normal as some of my people are staying out of the gym. And then as we get transition more to home-based fitness, I want to create these videos to provide you with some content to help give you some variety in some of the exercises and things that you can do at home. If you would like more specific programming, I do offer online coaching and online training or program design options, where if you want a more specific program, custom built and tailored to you, just let me know and we can go ahead and set you up with that. So looking forward to seeing you next time, and until then, stay healthy.